hello to all my listeners around the world and welcome to the latest episode of Lilia's Sunday podcast. First of all, I'd like to thank you massively. Thank all of my listeners who stay tuned and keep listening to the podcast. What's more, I'm so delighted the previous episode, which is called episode 19, The Importance of Grammar, has got really popular and so many of you downloaded it and hopefully listened to it all. If I'm honest with you, me and Alex, who is the other teacher I interviewed in the podcast, had been really worried that the episode turned out to be an hour long. But in fact, lots of people did listen to it till the end and actually found longer podcasts more useful. So I promise to take that into account and make more interviews in the future. But today, it's just the usual format. It's just the podcast in the format that you're used to. So hopefully you like it. Okay, enough rambling, Lilia. Tell us something useful. So today I'm going to be talking about another international exam which lots of students sit and take around the world. It's called IELTS. So I know I talked about one of the exams before. It was FCE, I guess, but today we're going to have a look at IELTS. And IELTS is an abbreviation which stands for International English Language Testing System. You might need to take this exam if you're planning to move abroad for a long time and live or study there. When compared with other international exams, this is the exam where you get your results the fastest. So I guess it's every 13 calendar days that you have to wait to learn if you have passed or if you have failed. Hopefully you've passed, right? Okay. But anyway, you can't really fail the IELTS exam, and I'll tell you later why. Right, okay, so keep listening and you'll know why you always pass the IELTS test. So if you go to a Cambridge website called www.cambridgeenglish.org, you'll probably read some info about the exam. So you could go to this website and learn about it, right? Learn some information about the format of the exam, just to familiarise yourself with the format and just discover how you could prepare for the exam to do your best when you're in the examination room. So here are the most important facts about it that you need to know. So first of all, there are 4 parts in IELTS, and they are reading, listening, writing and speaking. You'd usually have your speaking on a different day though. In Ukraine, it normally takes place before the overall test, which is a double-edged sword really. On the one hand, you put yourself into the mood for the exam and tune into the English mode, and then you can presumably show better results in the other parts of the test. But on the other hand, if you're deeply depressed after your speaking test, and this is something that happens to students all the time, even if they're excellent, believe me, just you feel that you speak English like crap and that puts you off a little bit for the rest of the exam. And you think I'm a total failure. I just can't get through. I'll never get through because I've shown some crappy results in the speaking. Even if you don't know the result yet, but you think that you were you had some bad performance in that speaking test. Anyway, when I left my examination room after doing one of those exams, I thought I was the worst speaker of English in the world. But in fact, I got an excellent mark and I'm proud with it. Yeah, I'm really proud of this mark because I teach conversational lessons and speaking is the most requested skill that I need. Okay, so 4 parts. Then you'll also need to know that there are 2 types of IELTS. You have the general module and the academic module. The main difference here is that you take the general IELTS if you're planning to migrate to an English-speaking country and live or work there, and the academic one if you're planning to study in a university abroad, or, as they put it here on the website, if you're seeking professional registration for some jobs, like doctors and nurses. So here is a question I often hear. So do I need to prepare for IELTS if I'm a proficient speaker of English, but I've never taken any international exams? Yes, you do. You need to prepare. And the point is that the format of the exam is quite unusual, and when you are doing the exam, you may spend lots of time trying to figure out what you have to do, or even start doing a wrong thing. So at least I recommend that you familiarise yourself with the types of tasks that may come up in the test and do at least one past paper. So one of the past papers is available for download on cambridgeenglish.org, the website that I mentioned before. So that will save you time in the actual exam, because you'll know what you have to do and you won't have to spend extra time trying to understand what is required. And in terms of your score, you could get any score from 1 up till 9. And there are also half grades in this exam, like 6.5 or 8.5. So that's the reason why you can't fail. So just basically, if you get 1, that means you passed, but at a very low grade. I'd say it's quite difficult to get a 9. I think there is a video on YouTube where a native speaker is taking the speaking test and the examiner gives him an 8.5, but I believe that you can get a 9, provided you study hard and speak English naturally and have a good and comprehensible pronunciation, and your examiner is not a dickhead, and sorry, I don't think I should swear in the podcast, but anyway, the examiner is a good person and they're in a good mood, and they're not just basically going to spoil the whole your whole performance by giving you a low grade. And in terms of pronunciation in the speaking part, I often get asked this question, so I think it's important that I answer it here. So it is important to speak in a way that the examiner can easily understand you. It's not a problem if you have an American accent. Just make sure that in your vocabulary choice you're consistent and you're not mixing words typically common for British or American English all in one go. So stick to one version. It doesn't have to be a matter of pronunciation. You may have pronunciation which sounds more American than British, yet still use British vocabulary. Well, I'm afraid this is not the case. If you have a rather clear British or American accent, then from the examiner's point of perspective, your choice of vocabulary will be fairly predictable, and that will have an impact on the overall score, right? So by that, I mean that if you have a very distinctive British accent, and you start saying American words, right? Well, that sounds weird. Okay, but I don't think that you should be really worried about this, because most people don't really have very clear and distinctive native English accents. So just basically you could stick to any kind of vocabulary that you like. Right? Okay, so that's okay. Don't worry too much about your accent. The main thing here is to be understandable. Okay, to be understandable, to be comprehensible. You don't have to be like a native speaker to do this test, right? Just be understandable. And here is another thing about speaking. Don't be over formal. If you can't go informal, try to keep it neutral. This excessive formality doesn't play a good role in your speaking test. So speak like you'd speak with a colleague or an acquaintance. This is not a business meeting, okay? So this is not the case of an essay, though. You'll have to write in this exam. The essay has to be semi-formal, but speaking informal. On the subject of swearing, I think you shouldn't swear or use any slang words. The fact that you know them doesn't mean you have to use them every now and then. Just in this podcast I've shown I know the word dickhead. That doesn't mean I should have used it, though. Overall, the examiner will get, basically, from the very beginning, how well you know English after the first couple of sentences you say. So don't worry. They won't look down on you or shout at you. If you're not a high-level speaker, they'll be friendly and try to make you feel relaxed. Oh yes, they'll do everything to help you relax. They won't massage your shoulders or your back, I'm afraid, but they'll speak in a polite and encouraging way. So if you have made a mistake, carry on. Trust me, they won't show you've slipped up. By and large, IELTS training is something many students are seeking around the world. And as part of my teaching goals, I do prepare students for IELTS. So if you'd like to be super successful in your IELTS test, don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll help you shine and radiate knowledge and confidence in your test. And by the way, by the end of January, I have a little discount session. So I'm running a $5 discount. It's a holiday discount for your first lesson by the end of January. So if you'd like to start learning English with me, welcome. I'll be very happy to have you on board as my new student. And overall, this podcast is absolutely free, so you don't have to pay to download it. It's absolutely free. Also, please let me know what you found most difficult in your IELTS test. You could share your tips and ideas on IELTS with me and other learners under this podcast, wherever you're listening to it. So if you did like the podcast, please check out on the rest of Lilia's Sunday podcast on liliacardenas.podomatic.com. That's LILIAKARDENAS.podomatic, which is PODOMATIC.com, and follow me on Facebook and VK. So I think that's about everything that I'm going to say today. I'm very happy to chat with you every Sunday, and I hope that you're having a good time listening to the podcast. So have a good time. Make sure you start doing what you've promised yourself to do in your New Year resolutions. And I'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye-bye.